Started here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans for Tuesday, April 7th, 2020. My name is Bill Soroka. I'm the founder of NotaryCoach.com and the Sign and Thrive Notary Training Course and Community. Our co-hosts are the now famous Carol Ray, founder of Notary to Pro. Carol, thank you for being here.
Infamous or famous?
It's a fine line sometimes, huh? Yeah, thank you for being here, Carol. Carol, what are you excited about this week?
Oh, I don't know.
Sorry to surprise you again with this question.
No, I know. We have so much going on right now.
Yeah.
That yes, I am very excited. But we're feeling the what everybody's going through with the virus thing. It's difficult. There's a couple things. Let's see. I just did a video with Ronnie of Unlimited Ink. We did one all about notary stars. I'm excited about that. It's a great project, and it's going to be something that's going to be educational, very, very helpful to the community. And I don't know, just life. I'm happy to be where I am and who I'm with, and my husband and I are just short of our 57th anniversary, and things are good, and I love my students, and what can I say? It's just an ongoing thing.
All right, I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Laura Buer from CoachMeLaura.com. Laura, how are you, and what are you excited about this week?
I'm excited about taking my meetup. For those of you who follow me or who in Modesto or the surrounding areas of California by me, we do a quarterly meetup meeting. And because our last one happened just before all these shutdowns happened, there's no way to do them traditionally. So we're going to flip meetup back on its head and do e-meetups. And they're starting April 15th. And you may have seen that Bill and I have collaborated on this together. And you've seen a Facebook event for this. And this conversation will be really more focused around outside of NSA. A lot of the questions that come up here are really loan signing related. And so a lot of our conversation in this other e-meetup will be around the general notary work and the specialties that we can have. And so that will be what the focus conversation is about on those calls. And they're going to be at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, starting April 15th. They're free and just sign up. To sign up, you can go to Bill, I think he put it in there, NotaryCoach.com/Notary Lite. That's Lite.
Awesome. I'm excited to participate in that with you. I love that. Guys, if you're not taking advantage of any extra time that you have now, you're missing out on a great opportunity. So I encourage you to use this time to learn, grow yourself, grow your business for sure. For me, guys, and just so you, Laura and Carol, you guys know, I just had a little medical procedure, and I am not right quite in the head all the way. So I'm going to not be as vocal on today's call. So I'll still field the questions, but I might be a little quieter than usual. We'll see how that goes.
Okay.
So does not being quite right in the head, does that apply to all of us? I do that every week.
I'm in good company, Carol. Let's just say that. I love it. Okay, cool. So let's, guys, so what is TNT? TNT is like a old-fashioned call-in radio show. You guys get to ask any questions you have about your business, the industry, situations that have popped up, weird documents, all that kind of good stuff. You can also share challenges, victories, wins, anything that you can do. We're going to start out by answering the questions for anybody who's on the live call today that would like to raise their hand. And we already have one who's doing that. So we'll just get started here with Dana Keller. Dana, if you'd like to unmute and ask your question, feel free.
Hey, good morning, Bill. I've just got a real quick question. I have a new individual that's sitting in on TNT because they're considering getting into the notary business. And I've been so impressed with your trainings and Laura's and Carol's that I've pointed out some videos to them on YouTube. But I'm wondering, with all these recordings that you make and that Laura and Carol make, is it just YouTube that you post these videos to, or do you also post them to your website?
Great question. I think we can each individually answer so you can have the best resources. So for me, for Sign and Thrive, we have the YouTube channel that is packed full of hundreds of different videos, interviews, all kinds of stuff and resources. The TNT replays I have posted there as well. Plus we have a TNT replay link. So anybody can go back through those. Within, for those who actually sign up for training through Sign and Thrive, we have a private Facebook group where there's a lot more content, interaction, questions, content reserved only for the private, for Sign and Thrive members. As far as replays goes, those are going to be the two main areas that you find. Carol, where can people find resources for Notary to Pro?
Well, of course, for many, many years, there was no such thing as those kinds of recordings. I never even heard of them. So it's really been the last couple of years that I've gotten into this. We have TNT recordings. We have I have interviews with some students, miscellaneous things, but most of them are on our homepage at notarytopro.com. Right on the front page, you'll see that there's replays for, I think, every TNT, and starting with the Breakfast Club, which you and I started, gosh, over a year ago.
Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, it really is. But yeah, that's primarily where it's found. And then we all have a YouTube channel where everything that should be visible to the public is. And of course, my courses are all online. So those are all locked up for our students.
Perfect. And Laura, where can people find more on what you bring to the table too with your videos? Where can they find the replays?
Well, I have a website, coachmelaura.com. And on there, if you scroll to the bottom of the homepage, you'll find my Laura Bewer Presents. And that's the video series that is a live recording then of any specific specialty. So there are about 7 different ones up there right now. As a matter of fact, I'm working on another one that'll be coming up in May on apostille work. And so that's where you can find videos regarding specialty documents or specialty environments. If you're a TNT follower, there is a discount if you use the code TNT. The other thing that you'll find on my website is my blog, and I've written a lot of articles, and I have a lot of YouTube videos out now. I started a channel back in January, and you'll find where I speak 5 to 10 minutes about a particular topic, and those are, of course, free resources for you. And of course, now I'm starting the e-meetups, and you'll find that there as well. In addition, so my coaching and teaching resources, if you're not doing the video series, I do live one-on-one coaching with somebody who has a very specific topic in mind. And I have 5 that are pre-designed that are the most commonly requested, or you can just design your own. And it's about 2 hours of time, intensive training, one-on-one in a Zoom call. Unless you're living in an area near me, then it could be in my office. And then I have online coaching. It's an annualized plan, and what you can do then is if you're one of my followers that is doing the coaching, you can call me at any time, whether it is about a specific certificate issue, document issue, trying to develop a new approach for a new line of business, whatever it is. And I prioritize your calls and requests to me. And then the final one is on my website. It says schedule a call with Laura. And those are quick calls. They're 15 minutes. They're free. And it can be because you have a follow-up question from the video series, or it could be because you want to find out a little bit more about how I might be able to help you, or you just have a question. And if you schedule those through my website, they're 15 minutes. And there you go. Those are the ways to get to me and the different ways I can help you.
All right. So what that sounds like, Dana, is tons of resources and tons of support. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did, Bill. Thank you very much.
Awesome, Dana. Thank you for asking. Appreciate that.
May I
Lisa,
interject something, Bill?
yeah, for sure.
I want to let everybody know, if they haven't already been there, that we've started a new video interest. I found that most of my students in the last few years are in the senior age. No longer are they 20s and 30 years old. They're primarily in their late 40s, 50s, 60s, and even a few in, like me, 70s. So we have this prime time thing that we're doing just once a month. It's the second Thursday of every month. And if anybody's interested in joining us, it's at I think it's at 4 o'clock that we do it Pacific Standard Time. So 7 o'clock back east. And they can write to me and we'll send them, put them on the list. Actually, we do have on our homepage, there's a thing, it's called, I forgot what it's called. Oh, gosh. Anyway, it's on there that you can sign up to be a part of that video. And it's really discussing how our age affects how we operate our businesses, because things change when you're past 50. They do.
All right.
Just
I love
want
that.
everybody to know that.
Yeah, I love that. There's so many resources available. So awesome. I'm so glad you're doing that. Lisa Primatico has a question I'm going to pass to both Carol and Laura because they're based in California. Her question is signing up with the California Association of Notaries worth it? I've never heard of them. What exactly is it? And has anyone had any experience with them? Laura, Carol, do we know who the California Association of Notaries is?
No, but here's the deal. Anybody can create a name and say, here I am, I'm an association and I'm here to help notaries. And, nowadays we have to be really careful because people try to pretend to be other people, other organizations who are well respected and known. And so we really need to check them out before we do anything with them. And so I've never heard of them, don't know anything about them, and I would be suspect unless I can find some proof that they are a legitimate company.
And I totally agree with that. And this is a great time for me to mention something that we've talked about before. If anybody talks to you about it, or if you see an ad in Monster, Indeed, or Glassdoor, and it says we have 100 companies or hundreds of companies that are right in your area. They're desperate for notary signing agents, good money, call us. And then they tell you, call them, and they say, well, we've got so much work for you, but you do need to be certified by us.
Right.
Run and report if you can. Report it to the FBI because these people have been operating since 2013. They are evil. I've got so much stuff on them, but I can't get anybody to do anything about it. I mean, I've got this guy. It's a husband and wife team. I've got his mug shot and all the things he's been, convicted of. So just pass that on when people talk to you about it, because it's phony and they take your money.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. And the general rule of thumb, right, I think we can all agree on is if you have to pay to play, you shouldn't play. If you have to pay to play, you don't play.
But there are a couple of legitimate ones where you do pay membership, like Notary Rotary or 123notary.com. They've been around forever. We all know who they are. And if that is part of your strategy in getting your visibility, that's perfectly fine. But there's a whole slew of people who decided, well, why can't I do that? And so they've created a name and they say they're a directory and they say pay $15, $20. It's not very much money. And the idea is they're going to be getting all this business for you. And that is not what's happening. And they're just going to take your 15 or 20 bucks and hope, you know, that they can keep it and you're not going to come back to them and that maybe it'll auto renew next year.
Yep, exactly. That's why being part of communities like this or Carrie Rivera's Notary Reviews, where they share this kind of information back and forth between notaries, can be really helpful for you as well. Okay,
Notary
great.
Stars is good. That one I talked about.
Notary Stars as
That
well. They have a
Notary
directory
Stars,
like that.
Oh, they've got, well, they don't talk bad about companies. They don't do that, but they do recommend companies. But the educational information that's offered there is really amazing. I mean, they're doing all kinds of boot camp stuff and a lot of things that are really great. And I think it's like $9 a month for it.
So Gina Marie Saris, you are next in line to unmute and ask your question.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah.
So I took a signing for this afternoon, later this evening. It's a California signing here in Arizona. It's the first time I've done an out-of-state signing. So my question is regarding the acknowledgements and the jurats and all that. I know that, do the buyers, they're just going to sign are they going to sign the California document and then I'm just going to attach my Arizona acknowledgement or jurat?
Well, so in Arizona, we don't have a reason to change anything out. We'd only want to do that if it affected California, and I don't think it does. Laura, does it have an impact on California? She's got a California property who's signing in Arizona. Should she replace the jurats, or is she in the clear because it's happening here?
She can use the wording that's been provided. The only document that could ever be in question would be the mortgage or deed. In our case, a deed for California. It certainly makes it easier if you use the California wording that's been provided, and the Uniform Acknowledgement Act allows all 50 states to recognize. Oh gosh, you guys still there?
Yeah.
My computer's doing something crazy. I don't know what happened.
Somebody's trying to share their screen.
Yeah, somebody's trying to share their screen.
Yeah.
In any case, under the Uniform Acknowledgement Act, all 50 states will acknowledge and recognize any acknowledgement from any of the 50 states as long as it was performed within the law of that state by that notary.
Okay.
So California should accept your Arizona one if you want to replace it. That's fine, but you could also use the one that's there.
So I would be signing the notary verbiage from California. It's going to say in the state of California.
If you use the California certificate, there's a place where it says under the penalty of perjury for the state of California, you would want to strike the word California and put Arizona so that you're held accountable to your state's penalty of perjury laws.
Okay.
So Gina Marie, we also have to say, you have to change your venue. You have to follow through and do the normal notary stuff. You still have to change that this is a signing happening in Maricopa County, Arizona, not Riverside County, California. That has to be changed on the notary block or the certificate.
And a strike through and just written above is sufficient. I mean, that would
strike through right above and initial. It has to be initial.
An initial. Okay.
Yeah.
I lived in Arizona for 7 years, and I always did either that, the strikeout, or I would just use an Arizona acknowledgement because of the fact that it did say, you know, I'm under penalty of perjury in the state of California. I didn't like that, so it was easy to do it. And the venue, by the way, is also, I've said this before because it's easy to remember, the venue is always the place where your feet are planted or your seat is seated when you're doing the signing.
Okay.
Found it's easy to remember.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you
I'll
for
let you know
asking.
how it goes.
Yeah, please do. Thanks, Gina Marie.
Thank you.
All right, Deb. I don't have your last name, but Deb, if you want to unmute and ask your question, please feel free.
Yeah, hi, Bill. My last name is Thomas.
Hey, Deb.
My question is that how do you? I'm in an attorney state, and you know, and I'm looking to at least get some of that business this year. How is the best way to approach them? I had an opportunity that had came up and offered it to a couple of attorneys, you know, saying it's a collaborative effort or can I sit in and stuff, and they basically shut me down. So I'm not quite sure how to go about to approach them to let them know I'm available. Um, you know, if nothing else, is that when you got an overflow or whatever, or to sit in or to travel with an attorney, I really just don't know how to go about doing that.
Sure. So happy to help, Deb. Can you be more specific and tell us exactly what state you're in?
I'm in Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts.
Mhm.
And can you tell me a little more, when people shut you down, what does that look like?
Okay, well, I'll give you the specifics. I had a signing last month with a gentleman selling some property here in the state, and the mortgage company that's handling it is out of state, so I was able to do that. I'm able to do either the wet signing or the initial applications. It's the closing part that goes to the attorney. Now, I got to talking back to the mortgage company because I called him on another matter, and he told me, "Oh, we're getting ready to close. I want you to be the notary to close on it." And I did mention to him that it was an attorney state, but I said, "Let me see what I can do." So I contacted like 5 different attorneys up in my area, suggesting that, you know, can we collaborate on this? You know, I'll do a reduced fee, whatever. Can I sit in? And they just said, "No, not happening."
Okay.
Not even getting details, not even knowing what. 2 of them I did explain that it was a mortgage company I dealt with before, that I did a signing. This is their client. The mortgage company is my client because they hired me. They would like to continue to work with the same person. No, ain't happening. So, I mean, outside of that, that's not going to happen for this particular one, but I still want to connect up with an attorney, you know, a real estate attorney. One of the ones that I did contact initially when I found out about it, they occasionally show up on Snapdots looking for notaries to accompany them. So they were the first ones I contacted because I had some conversations with them in the past, and they even shut it down and said, "No, it's not happening." So it's like a catch-22, or how do you get around that?
No problem. Was that recently that this happened, Deb?
Yeah, within the last 2 days.
Okay. So I think there's a couple of things happening here, and I think maybe we can tag team this one, Laura, with the specific rules for Massachusetts, because I know we have plenty of signers up there that are being able to work and find the business and build those types of relationships. So I know it's possible. But let's also remember before we do that there are COVID is changing everything, and non-essential people in signings is not going to happen. People just sitting in on signings can't happen anymore. I'm running into that here in Phoenix, even with the training program, trying to get people in for observations. If you're not essential to the transaction, you're not going to sit in that room with anybody else. You're not going to put anybody else at risk. You're not going to put yourself at risk in the room. So that might be part of that. The other part of it, especially when it comes to closing attorneys, is sometimes you have, just like with escrow officers, you have people who have their own way of doing things. And sometimes in attorney states, the interpretation of the law and what that means is actually, it means different things to different attorneys. So sometimes it's a matter of just finding the right attorney that understands the scope of the law and how they can work and maneuver within it. Because an attorney, whether they're the closing agent, whether it's an attorney or whether it's an escrow officer out west, they perform very similar functions, and they are able to subcontract that to signing agents, because it's important to remember that when it boils down to it, we're gatherers of signatures. So some attorneys recognize that they can contract our services under the and still work within the law, and some of them don't see that. And some others see us as direct competition because they became attorneys, they're paying off their law school debt, and this is how they're doing it. And so they see us as a little bit of a challenge and an obstacle there. So you have to find the right mindset as well. Laura, can you speak to this at all with any more direct detail on the Massachusetts rules?
She needs to be unmuted.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Okay,
Okay.
let's try that. I try to sit and mute so that there's no noise going on in case my security force decides there's a problem and they start being very vocal. So what I was looking at is that it says that a notary who works for a lender, they can perform notarizations related to the real estate closing. They don't need to have an attorney. But if you're not an employee status of that lender, then everybody else is supposed to be attorney represented. And I'm just looking to see if there's any more. It's under Massachusetts general law. That gives a little bit more detail, but I don't think that detail is going to help you very much because it's going to be the same issue as you got to work through attorneys. If you're not working for a lender directly because you have a W-2 status with them, then you're going to have to work with an attorney.
Right. That's what I want to do is I want to connect up with attorney to work with them. I mean, it's just that this particular one, like I said, I was contacting him on another matter, and he was bringing up, oh, this signer is getting ready to close. I like working with you. I want you to do this. So that's how that came into my lap that way.
Yeah.
But I'm looking to at least connect up with attorneys anyways this year, with at least one or two of them anyways this year. So don't know how to go about it, especially where this situation came up. Is that, am I going to get hard shut down like that with everybody?
Okay, that's a great question. And so luckily the good answer, you already know this, is no, you're not going to get hard shut down every time you do this. It's just like any other relationship. If every time we extended ourselves out there, we hit a home run, then we'd be dating everyone. We'd be in business partnerships with everyone. That's just not how human nature works. We have to it has to click. And in marketing especially, that really comes down to numbers game. Sometimes you just have to expose or get exposure to as many people as possible that are willing to play the game. For everyone that says no, there's 10 that will say yes. You just have to get in the arena and make sure they know you are aware, and you have to really drill down what the conversation is looking like. If you start noticing this pattern of hard shutdowns, then you might reevaluate your approach, because that might have something to do with it. It might not. You might just be meeting all the wrong people at the wrong time, and then you might be one person away from making the meeting at the right time. Carol, do you have any insight on building relationships with attorneys in these situations?
It's very, very difficult. But I do know that in most of the states, and I have a lot of students, of course, in every state, but it's work. They're getting a lot of work because they can deal with property outside of the state without having to use the attorneys. I think that's good for almost. I think there might be one, Connecticut, maybe it is, where there's where they're really strict about it. But in the other states, there's so much work because people own. There's so much. Of the people moving around the country, mobility and just having properties in one state and living in another, that there's plenty of work out there. So concentrate on that.
I am seeing that. I am seeing that end of it. Like I said, I'm either seeing the initial applications or like the secondary signings to do, where they're still going in, they still need notarization, but it's not the final closing paperwork. So I am, except for these last 3 weeks, I have been seeing those, and quite a few, both in state and out of state. So it's not including sellers packages, buyers packages, HELOCs, reverses. I'm seeing all those, but it's just that particular aspect I'm not seeing.
I would continue though to seek out these attorneys and see, because at some point in time they're going to be overrun with business, or they're going to have personal issues where they can't follow through with the signings, and see if you can't, because I do have students that do work with the attorneys and it works really well. They're busy and they don't have time to actually be there to do the final signings.
You know what's interesting about attorneys too is when you're building relationships with them, they are very, the buck stops with them. So they're very conscientious about how they're represented at the closing table. They need to trust that you're going to be able to handle things in a professional way. So it might be a little harder to get your foot in the door, but when you do, they're going to cling to you because they're craving high quality mobile notaries. The other thing that's really important with attorneys too is that they are big into personal referrals and networking. So when this COVID thing lifts, getting dialed into networking groups where there is maybe several attorneys allowed into the group would serve you really well too, because they like that personal interaction. They like that other people in the group may have been referring to you. They really go off of those. I don't want to say what other people think, but that's a big deal in the legal community. The personal referrals, knowing that somebody's hanging their name on your reputation goes a long way.
You know, it's the same thing because I do a lot of work in the legal world with trust work. And it's the same thing. I get a lot of attorney referrals from one attorney to the next attorney to another attorney. So once you do get hooked in, it's a small world for them. And they like using the same vendors, which is what we would be for them, over and over again, once they find one that they feel represents them well and that they can trust.
Yep, so true.
Okay.
And
Thank you so much.
by the way, Carol, it is Connecticut, where there's just no exception at all. Whether or not the property's in Connecticut or out of Connecticut, you better not be doing it. They are just really strict in that particular state.
Because I've actually had a couple of people that have called me. We do have a few students there, not many, but I've had a few people call, and I tell them, you're wasting your money, because unless you want to do general notary work, you're not going to get loan signings.
And that was an update. And that was there was some more looseness prior to October 1st of 2019. And then they updated updated the law and said, you know what, other than a HELOC, you're out. HELOC was
they became an attorney state also, because I've got one contact down there, that one girl that I'm trying to mentor. So they just became an attorney state also, because she was she reached out to me and was asking me stuff. So
okay.
It's an awful feeling to have to turn down a student.
No.
Yeah.
It feels bad.
All right, Deb, thanks so much. Good luck with that and keep us posted.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, John Coppola, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Yes, hi. Thanks, everybody. And my question is more of an ethical one. Out here in California, I've been what's called a registered and bonded legal document assistant for about 8 years, where we can prepare documents for the public. We can't give advice. I've also been a notary for 3 years, general notary, and got certified to do the loan signing. So I'm just kind of venturing out into doing that now. My question is, and I've heard both sides of it, when you're done with the loan signing, is it ethical to leave your business card for the client who may need? I do a lot of simple trust, living preparation, deeds, powers of attorney, healthcare directors. Is it ethical to let them know that you do this as well, in case they need it? I've heard NNA say no, and then I've heard other people who are out in the field say it's okay. So I just wanted to clarify that and make sure I'm not doing anything wrong.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Thank you for asking that. I think I'd love to hear the perspective from all three of us. So I'll start. I leave a business card at every single appointment. In fact, I take it a few notches above that too. I try to stay in touch with my signers for that exact reason. If they needed a notary now, they're going to need a quality notary in the future. They are going to need a title transferred. They're going to need their trust work or a last will and testament. They're going to need my services. And I don't see that as a poaching of anybody's client, because, you know, I'm not trying to sell them escrow. I'm not trying to sell them real estate. I'm just the third party notary who's going to be there for them. And then I try to stay in touch with my customers as much as possible too. You know, I send a thank you card after every single signing appointment, and just have an email campaign now that stays in touch with them that way. That way I can create sustainability in my business and be of optimal service. You know, if something goes awry and they need me, or they can't get a hold of their lender, sometimes we're that one calm voice that can just say, let me see what I can find out, and touch it that way. So I think I consider it a level of customer service to include a business card. Carol, what do you think?
I pretty much agree with you. There was years that went by that I didn't, because it was really relationships between signing services, title companies, and us. But now that everybody's using more and more notaries independently of them, such as the trust and doing the general notary work. So yeah, I think that leaving your business card is fine, as long as it doesn't come across like you're poaching business, because that's bad. That'll kill you.
Yeah. And before I get to you, Laura, let's just clarify the poaching scenario, because we talk about it. I mentioned it in the book. I talk about it quite often on coaching calls. Leaving your business card for a customer, an actual signer, is not poaching somebody's client. Where it might be perceived as poaching is if you were to take a loan package that you are completed after a signing company hired you to complete it, and you include your business card and maybe a card to the escrow officer that even hints towards the idea of, we don't need the signing company. Next time you can just hire me. Whether your intentions were totally pure or not, if it is perceived that you are trying to cut them out and go for their customer, you're going to be in hot water for that. Laura, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interject, but I just wanted to define that. What's your thoughts on this whole thing?
Yeah, and of course, many of you know that 80% or more of my business is not with loan signing companies. It's directly with clients or directly with my attorney. And so when I don't hand out business cards. That's just I don't hand them out. But when I'm asked, I always have them available, and I will certainly give one to anybody who asks me for my notary contact information. I just really go about it a little differently, probably than most. I really rely more on that relationship building while I'm with them. A lot of times what they do is they put Notary Laura in their phone and my phone number, and I don't have to give them a thing. They say, do you do notarizations for work other than what we're doing today? Oh, absolutely, I do. Oh, how would I get a hold of you? Would you like to put Notary Laura in your phone with my number? That would be the best way. Yeah, great. I mean, everybody's got a cell phone, and that's usually what they do. If for some reason they're not somebody who wants to do it that way, could I have your card instead? Absolutely, I have a card I can hand them, but my card is like my last resort card.
Love that. Great perspective. And when you there's many of us that have other side hustles within our notary business, sometimes without even realizing it. General notary work is one revenue stream or one service level. Then you have loan signings. Some of you do fingerprinting. Some of you do legal shield. Some of you do wedding officiant. Some of you do legal document prep, whatever it might be. All of these people could be your customers for a different avenue. We don't have to only focus our loan signing customers right here in loan signing and can't think about anything else, and they can't know about anything else. We need to stay in touch with them. When you realize the full power of your notary funnel, you will never neglect staying in touch with your customers. So leaving a business card is fine and powerful, but taking control of that contact, I like to say, hey, I'd like to stay in touch and send you a thank you card. Is that okay with you? Then I have their permission to stay in touch, and they can unsubscribe anytime they want. If they decide, this notary once a month is too much, I don't need that much notary in my life, they can unsubscribe, and then they'll probably still remember me later on and look me up in their email or on their cell phone. Does that help, John?
That's great. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the trust signing webinar next Wednesday. So thank you.
On the 15th, that'll be a great way to get some perspective. Okay, Dana Keller, you're back up. Thanks for waiting.
Hey, Bill, I had a call while you guys were chatting earlier, but before I go into my question, I wanted to mention something. I was a paralegal for almost 20 years between California and Arizona. And speaking in reference to the gal from Massachusetts that works with the attorney service, one of the things that she might want to consider doing is every state has a bar association and every county has its own bar association within that state. I don't know if Massachusetts has counties or townships, but she may want to look to the Bar Association, and maybe most of them do some sort of a publication. She could publicize her business in that, and it will also give her access to the participant roster, the Bar Association roster. So once she's run an ad for a few months, then she could start contacting these people either via email or direct mail or however she'd like to do it. That's one way to kind of get your foot in the door.
I love that, Dina. Great strategy. Thank you for sharing that. Deb, I hope you got that.
And so my question is, I had a caller this morning, and this is probably directed more to you, Bill. I had a caller this morning that is purchasing a mobile home, and they wanted a notarization on a title. Now, I've never dealt with mobile homes in Arizona, but I have in California. And in California, they're actually registered with the Motor Vehicle Department. So it's almost like an auto title transfer. Is that how they're handled in Arizona also?
Yeah, exactly. Unless it's already been permanently affixed to real estate, real property, and then it will have a deed of trust.
Yeah, no, this is in a mobile home park. So they're on a rental. Yeah, a rental lot, and it's from the father to the daughter.
It looks almost exactly like just a regular vehicle transfer.
Okay, all right. So it's pretty much in and out, done deal. Nothing difficult.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great question.
All right, Tedesta calling. How are you?
Gotta mute her. All right, great. Ellen, you've got your hand up if you'd like to unmute and ask your question. Ellen.
Hi, can you
Hi.
hear me?
Sure can.
Hey, so happy to be here. You all have opened my world for me. I started my own rotary notary business in a rural county in Central Florida, going into my 3rd year. And I discovered you, Bill, and through you, the Titans. I didn't even know about signing companies. I didn't know about SnapDocs. I didn't know about any of that. So I have just been on a wonderful ride, learning and expanding and realizing that my real estate investment experience that I did in the 90s down in Naples and all of the properties I've bought and sold in my life, my real estate statute license that I have, but it's voluntarily inactive, can be applied into working with people, which I love to do. That's why I'm a notary.
Yeah.
So a couple questions. First and foremost, what category are we? For example, I was in the unemployment of Florida last night, and to find notary public in a drop-down list or to describe what our occupation is, I'm lost. Are we civil servants? What are we?
So that's a great question. I usually put us under legal services. Like that's where my Wells Fargo banker listed me as well as legal services.
Okay.
Laura, Carol, had you heard any? I've heard professional services.
I do use the legal services.
Okay.
If they don't have that option, I've used professional services.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem.
And then one last question. I'm thinking about jumping into your reverse mortgage course.
Yeah.
And how much experience do you think a signing agent needs to successfully complete that course?
Well, I think you'll be able to complete the course and probably the technical component of the test for sure. But I don't necessarily recommend it without having some real world experience with regular signings. I would wait until you get, 25, maybe even 50 signings. Now, not to stop you from that, because when I say that, your first signing will probably end up being a reverse. That's just how it goes. So there's no filter from that. There's no like, well, now you've qualified for level or tier 2 signings, and now you get reversed. They just all come out you at once. So if you think that's a demographic that you're going to want to serve at some point, then you can jump in anytime. However, the processes and the amount of time and the extra disclosures and things that are involved in that, it would probably serve you a little more if you had a little more real world experience behind you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your help, y'all. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Ellen. Thank you.
There's one thing that's absolutely required with reverse mortgages: compassion, understanding, patience. That's what you need to have. And if you don't have that, then don't even try to do them. They're a wonderful thing, because an hour of your time, an hour and a half of your time, and you leave people with life, their whole life changes from that point forward economically.
Especially right now, guys. People, these reverse mortgages serve such a critical role in the financial planning of certain households. And when the crap hits the fan like it has recently, having access to these types of funds is extremely important. That's why they've seen actually a spike in reverse mortgage applications. So just so you guys know, probably over the course of the next 45 to 90 days, there's going to be a significant number of reverse mortgages increase as well.
How big are they?
Boomers are out.
Application.
So, well, there's still applications could be anywhere from 180 to 400 pages on the reverse mortgage.
Okay.
So even the front end, the application part, can be just as long or longer than the actual closing package sometimes.
I'm so glad I told SnapDocs I wasn't available earlier. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And don't forget that the baby boomers are a major factor in this now. All of us who are wartime years, we're looking at these reverse mortgages in a very serious way. They're going to be big in the next few years.
Yeah, big time. Big time. All right, Kim with a big M, you can unmute and ask your question. Kim? There she is.
Hi.
Hey, Kim.
Hi, everyone. I missed the last meeting, and I apologize for that. I'm actually going back into the emergency room, so I'm going to be putting this on the back burner until such time as they don't cry out for nurses to come back. So I'll be going back April 20th, and I still have a few signings. And Bill, when I'm done again with nursing, I'm going to sign up just so I can continue with reviewing your lessons, and because a lot of the lessons really helped me. I've had some issues, and I still consider myself a relatively new loan signing agent, and there's a few things I kind of want to mention. I had an attorney call me from Sign and Track. Now, they never call anyone. Everything is done via email. They don't even send you your stuff, in your phone. So he called me one Friday, and he really sounded frustrated. He says, Kim, this is so-and-so, you got a moment to talk? I said, sure. And he just expressed all of the issues and the problems that he's been having. And I found this so odd, especially for him to call me. He says, we're having so many problems with signings not done properly, missing seals, information not filled out completely. And he was like, wow. I said, so what can I do for you? He says, can you please, I got a signing for tomorrow. Can you please take this signing for me? And I know it's the last minute. I know you like your paperwork. And I said, sure. But I thought that was really odd for him to call and be so expressive. It's not, I'm nobody. I'm just, I'm, I can help you if my calendar is not filled in, but I thought that was really weird. So that's one. Another attorney called me from Notary Go. He didn't call me, he texted me. And he says, Kim, is your email capable and equipped of receiving documents? I'm like, yeah, I receive documents via email all the time. And so he had me to talk to one of his clients. Now, this is Notary Go. This guy works with Notary Go. He had me to talk with one of his clients. This particular client wanted to change the date. And I told him, I says, okay, we'll talk. We're actually not talking, but, emailing back and forth. Then he says, okay, in a few minutes, you're going to be receiving all the documents. Well, I had to call Notary Go to let them know what was going on, because why he chose to send me the documents directly, I don't know, but I let Notary know, Notary Go, let them know everything that was going on, because I don't know what was going on, but I knew that Notary Go initially asked me to, sign me up for that customer, but this attorney very nice man. I guarantee you, I didn't even remember his name forever. And he sent me the papers, and he sent me the all the things that Notary Gold was supposed to have done. He did. Sent me the sticker to email the package back the next day. So I kind of thought that was really weird. And I'm new, so I'm learning a lot. Okay, so this last thing, I had a loan company, I call it the loan company from hell. This was a refinance, and I guarantee you, there were at least 15 pages of affidavits alone. The clients were so frustrated, and there was a jurat within this package. There was an acknowledgement, of course, and a jurat. And of course, with my training and things that I've watched, you know, you have to swear in on a jurat. So my clients were like, and I showed it to them, and they were like, I've never had to swear in. I've never had to swear in. I said, I am so sorry. And he said, I'm sick of these people. I said, well, why do you deal with this company? He says, because they have the lowest rates. So that's it for me, all three of those.
Yeah, well, triple whammy there. Thank you for sharing that. This is you're getting a good taste of experience though. So I really appreciate that you share that perspective. And I think one thing that we really, to that guy who did an overshare with you about his frustrations.
Yes.
I think that was just really telling about how people are feeling right now. And I think we can use that kind of information for empathy and compassion, because from the signing company perspective, I can tell you guys, it's scary because we have to let down our customers more than we've ever had to do before. I've had to say, no, I cannot find a notary to fulfill this job more times than I've said in the entire history of my business. Wow. So as we, you know, a lot of us are bootstrappers. We've been working on this, building these relationships for years. And now we're hit with this, oh crap, now we can't even help our customers. So we're questioning everything. Wow. People are frustrated. The notaries are frustrated. Everybody's frustrated along the level. So I think that really speaks when they overshare to a complete stranger, how it might be on that too. So I'm so glad that they got you on the phone. You obviously have a compassionate heart. Thank you for your service as well. Please stay safe out there.
I will.
I'd like
I've referred to new people that are coming into the loan signing business, and I referred them to you, Bill, of course. So they'll be coming on and signing up and taking your class even before they get their commission, because I think the commissions are on hold right now. Gotcha. So I told them you're giving that 1 month free.
Yeah.
So I told them both, go online. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks for spreading the word, Kim. Carol, did you have something to add to that, Carol?
Yeah, I do. We've got a lot of people
Carol.
because so many people are at home. We have a lot of people here, more than we normally do. I just want to speak to the oath, because I hear this so many times. I train my students, you've got to issue an oath at the beginning of a signing. If there's affidavits in that file, you have to do this.
Oh,
and,
okay.
But I hear it all the time where people will laugh at them, or they'll think it's silly, or they'll say, I've done this a dozen times and I've never had to do that.
Yeah.
If that happens to you, you have to be very serious about this. I'm being serious. Have them raise their right hand, because you want them to understand that this is serious.
Yes.
You want them to understand that if we don't do it, we can be in a lot of trouble. It is required by law. So it's not something silly. Don't let people think that it is. You have to let them know this is serious business.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thanks for that, Kim. Carol, thank you. All right, we'll move on to Guy. Guy, thank you for your patience. You can unmute and ask your question.
Is that Guy Chase?
It just says Guy. I'm going to assume it's Guy Chase, but I think we have another Guy now named Guy.
Oh.
Guy, are you there? Now he's disappeared. Okay, we'll move on to Gina.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, here you go. Guy's back. Hey, Guy.
So I was listening to the comments about attorney states. I am not in an attorney state, but in regards to making the connection with attorneys, the thought came to my mind, might attorneys entertain that relationship if you were a on-call employee of their firm? They don't have to have you on salary. They don't have to have an office space for you. They don't have to incur any of those costs. They would, depending on how much volume they do, maybe have to send you a 1099. But just wondering if that approach might be appealing to them as opposed to you being an independent notary.
That's a great question. And I think that would probably determine, that's like the value is in the eye of the beholder. Some people might see value in that and some people might not. But that's an interesting way of looking at it if you can frame it in a way that says, here's why you would want to do this and I'm willing to do it for you.
Right. Okay. I have a friend who does chief financial officer for companies that really can't afford to have a CFO. But he does his services in, I think he uses the term that comes from the nursing arena, PRN, CFO as needed. And so it's just a thought that grew as I was listening to the conversations.
I love it. I love that you got your wheels turning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, for the people that applies to or might be appropriate to, take what you like and leave the rest.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Guy. I love it. You know what's cool about this business, guys, is there's no rules about building relationships and marketing and advertising. You can get as creative as you want. You can get as far outside the box as you want. That's actually what works. Everybody's doing the same thing. You know, the bullhorn talking about how great of a notary they are. They're 24/7. They dress nice. They show up on time. They go early. They go late. If everybody's saying the same thing, there's nothing that differentiates you from the rest. They don't care about your E&O insurance. Their legal team does. They care about how easy it is to work with you. Do they look forward to working with you? Can they count on you to deliver quality work? Those types of things. That's what matters. All right, Gina, you want to unmute and ask your question?
Good afternoon. It's 4 o'clock where I am. Bill. I did have one statement. When I did my taxes last year, my accountant did say that they do have a notary signing agent now. Because before, remember, we didn't have a title per se.
Gina,
so
you're
I think someone just said something about us having a title. Have you seen that? She sure had a title last year.
Hey, Gina, we cannot hear you. I'm gonna mute you because your bandwidth is too low.
Can you hear me?
No. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna turn off your. I'm gonna stop your video so you have more bandwidth. Okay, but I think we can hear you now. Gina?
Is that better?
I think so. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine. My accountant last year did say that they had a title for us for the IRS. So someone said a few minutes ago that they were looking for a title, and my accountant said it said signing agent, and she used it.
Oh yeah, I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure what that means.
A minute ago, someone was saying something about what would we use as a title. I don't remember who it was. I'm not sure if it was John or Guy. But anywho.
Okay. Yeah, no.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
It's regarding the business card for the NNA. Did someone say that the NNA said that we can't leave a business card? I just wanted to make sure I got it.
I think somebody did mention that the NNA said no in the chat window, or whoever asked that question. I don't know if that's their official policy though. Laura, have you heard anything on that?
So I think it has to be very specific to a situation. And I think what they were talking about is putting your business card in packages going to
escrow office.
other escrow office, that would be considered poaching. I think that's the perspective from the NNA, not right with your signer.
Okay, because I leave a card. I mean, I've been doing this 15 years. I leave a card or on the top of the packet or with their packet. So I was just making sure. I've just been doing it so long.
Yeah. Now with the signers, I think you're in the clear there.
Okay, that's my question.
All right. Thanks, Gina.
Thank you.
Right. All right. Thank you. Now that brings us right up to the closing hour, but I know Laura has one last thing to share with us regarding the letter issued on remote online notarization for California, right, Laura?
Yeah, so I keep getting this, isn't anybody doing anything? What's happening? How come we don't know anything? Everybody else is doing emergency orders. And of course, Secretary of State, they keep it close to the vest. They just posted, we're evaluating solutions. We'll get back to you. But I saw this letter, and I'm not endorsing or anything. I'm just sharing that this letter was written to Governor Newsom for California about why we need an emergency order to help get through this time. And I'm not going to go into all the details of the letter, but it goes on about that, as well as the issues we have with recording offices not being able to accept electronically signed deeds, let's say. But what I did want to share with you were all the companies or agencies who signed this letter. And it was the California Association of Realtors, California Bankers Association, California Building Industry Association, California Business Properties Association, California Credit Union League, California Land Title Association, California Mortgage Bankers Association, Escrow Institute of California, Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association, and then Western Manufactured Housing Communities Association. So this was sent out April 2nd to him. I'm just looking at the requested action. So they put a requested action for an executive order for a temporary remote online, specifically to notary services related to real estate in particular, not for everything. And that it went on to talk about county recorders and how they might be able to handle that coming in as a paper or tangible copy of an electronic record that was acknowledged electronically. And they also, recommended what kind of wording could be used by the notary to indicate that. So it was 6 pages long. If you specifically want to know about this letter, I can forward the link to you. As a matter of fact, what I might do is I'll put it on my website on that COVID-19 page, the link, so that you can get into it and see it yourself if you haven't seen it. So I'm only sharing this to let you know that there are organizations and individuals who are asking the question, why not us? And there are a lot of reasons why not us. So we don't know what's going on in the background with all of this going on, but there are obviously people concerned about what's happening in California and what could be done on a temporary measure. And that's what I wanted to share.
Excellent.
Thank you.
No problem. I posted that link to Laura's website as well, her COVID-19. It's just coachmelaura.com/COVID-19. And there's a whole list of video series for the states affected by emergency orders. So she's going to post that link there. Okay, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for joining us and growing yourself and your business on a Tuesday afternoon. Carol, once again, thank you so much for all the time you put into us. Laura, thank you as well for being here. And guys, thank you for spending a little bit of time with us on Tuesday. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.